Hello, this is a digital sketchbook tour. That's what this is. Just getting things squared away, and we'll begin the tour shortly. I hope you enjoy it. All right. So this is the project in Clip Studio Paint where I have returned and created new pages to culminating in this digital sketchbook. When the budding illustrator wants to improve, he or she must put in some practice and some studies. So the studies of the past year or so, most of them, here they are. So let's take a look at them, shall we? The first thing I will do is maximize everything. And we'll take a look at page 1. Now this was probably, look at this. I surprised myself. Okay, so I haven't looked at this for a while. Okay, so first of all, this is a study of someone else's work and also a experimentation with a brush pack that I got from, I believe it was True Grit Texture Supply, and that brush pack would be called I don't know, some marker brush pack from them. This is a study, maybe an image on Pinterest, maybe a comic book or something, I don't recall. Just, in a rush. This is the me in a rush. That's a common theme throughout these studies, and I really have to learn to get away from that. Here we have infamous X-Fighter. Here are, there's no explanation for what's going on. There's no explanation for what's going through my mind when I do some of these things, and of course a lot of it was from a year ago. This here is a character, a very rough approximation, pardon me folks, a very rough approximation of a character that I invented quite a few years ago. Here is a little boy, lots of different experimentations for a little boy for a project I was going to do and never bothered to do. Look at this, a study of a Styracosaurus. If I could talk properly, this would go over much weller. This is a Styracosaurus, likely a study from something I saw on Pinterest. This might be Charles R. Knight, but I can't be sure. This would be okay. So that's page 1. Obviously, we've got Godzilla here. We've got more. I am terrible at faces, and I continue to try. And I mean, this kind of face, no, I guess you could say, no, I'm not terrible at doing this type of thing, but, more realistic faces, yeah, this is a problem. Alright, let's take a look at the next page, shall we? Let's close that, do not save the changes, and open the next page, and here we have some studies of the female figure. not just any figure. I would say the key takeaway from all of this right here, this has to have been a study here. I don't think I did that from my imagination. This may or may not have been a study. This looks a little bit like me struggling with the concepts. This I can tell you is me getting like frustrated and tired of trying to get proportions correct and stuff like this. Now this here, you might swear is an actual image from Andrew Loomis's Head and Hands book. I believe it's Head and Hands book. But a couple of these are actually very careful studies, and they are almost tracings. There's a video on my channel about this method of studying and the benefits of it and how it's worked for me. I call it the pseudo tracing method. It's a long story. It's on my channel. I think it's it's the main video that plays when you go to my channel, so you don't have to hunt for it. It's a good deal. I think it's helpful. So yeah, Loomis studies, and here's me going off of the Loomis studies and trying to do what Loomis does and trying to figure out whether or not I am getting anywhere. Here's a image of an Allosaurus, not completed. You know, I got tired, I got bored, I just don't have enough discipline sometimes, or too often, whatever. But I can tell you, I've tried to draw this creature and getting its proportions and making it look like the image. The model, this is a model of a dinosaur that was in a movie called, what was it called? It was called 1 Million Years BC, not to be confused with 1 million BC, and not to be confused with 10,000 BC. I could tell you I've tried to draw this dinosaur, this Allosaurus, Harryhausen's famous dinosaur, which I don't believe Harryhausen actually designed. That's a long story, but we'll skip it for now. I'm sure he animated it, but he didn't design it. He may not have even built it. What I'm trying to get at is that this fictional creature here is, to get its likeness, this was a big moment for me. I was like, wow, I'm really getting better at trying to do these things. So here's me trying to give three-dimensionality to something like this. Because quite frankly, I like all of these. I love this. Here's, just going off on tangents. Here's sort of a crocodile that I did from imagination, and you can see how I've got all this stuff, all these ideas, and I'm trying to do all this stuff, and then I don't even know what to do with the lower jaw. I just kind of got through it and just said, okay, that's enough. I impressed myself, but I mean, there's a lot going wrong with this, but it's all from imagination. I can tell you that. All this stuff is from imagination. What is this? Well, that's the kind of thing you get from me. What's 90, 90, 90, 40? Oh, that's just more experimentation with that marker pack. Oh, look at this. This is a study that I bailed on real early. This is from some famous dinosaur book from the 60s, maybe the 70s. Yeah, I bailed on it early because it was proving just too damn difficult. This here is nothing more than a demonstration. I don't know why I did this, but this is a demonstration that your drawing skills are not the most important thing. your drawing skills are one's drawing skills are not the most important thing for storytelling and character development. And character development, I mean, like, within the story, not character design. Although this does address character design, because this is proof that you don't assume. I'm assuming you don't assume that this is two different characters that happen to look the same, even though they don't look the same. But the colors, right? Snap, snap, snap. This must be the same character doing two completely different facial expressions. If you looked at this and thought you were looking at one character mad and another character that just happens to look just like him, maybe his twin or something, looking sort of what's this look? Kind of like looking for searching his own mind for explanations. I don't know. If anybody's watching, let me know if you thought these were two different characters. Okay, let's go on. Did we move on to the next? Yes, that is the page 3. Let's just make sure we covered everything, because every little inch of my sketchbook is worth talking about. Let's zoom in on this right here. You see, this is vector and trajectory. This is when I was knee deep in doing these. This one, probably this one. It's just the simple concept. It addresses the simple concept of. I'm not going to do any drawing. I'm just going to. You make a point here and a point here, and you make a trajectory, right? And you don't. You can see all these little points. This is for the express purpose of trying to draw a line with confidence and plot the line that I'm about to draw. And it's just good practice, It's, if you can't, wrap your head around the value of what I'm trying to explain that I was doing here, then I question your commitment to illustration. All right. Anyway, let's take this one and close it and open the third one. So here is all this is supposed to be is a demonstration of control and can I just make clean geometric shapes? And the answer is, of course, yes. But the conundrum is, how much time does it take, and how much effort are you willing to, this takes effort to remain steadfast. So as I say, partly my studies are all about trying to strengthen my patience and my ability to commit and use discipline and not do half-baked, half-hearted sketches, and move past half-baked, half-hearted sketches like this. This is great, but it's half-baked and it's just a sketch. This is even more half-baked. I mean, a lot of these things are just scribbled and scribbles that result eventually in something. I mean, talk about half-baked. Like, this is totally just said, well, that's enough of that, and moved on, right? Look at this. Look at that. This is almost starting to come out good, and yet I abandoned it. Here's, again, I gotta figure out these facial features, how to indicate them and make them look like I know what they... Anyway, I could just go on and on forever about nothing. Hey, look at that car. Cars are hard to draw. I've made progress. I don't know what this is. Look at this beautiful thing. This is actually a study. Kind of put my own spin on it, but it's mostly a study. This is much closer to the original artwork, though still rather cumbersome. This is priceless in my opinion, but sloppy and half-hearted. Just more experiments with the marker pack that I bought. More experiments with clean design. A really disastrous but eye-opening effort to paint the dinosaur we saw on the use digital paint to render a different picture of the same dinosaur we saw on the last page. This looks like one of the Thundercats, but it's a study of something I found online or saw in a thumbnail or something. Just more studies, again, more efforts to just sort of practicing the concept of clean design and traditional, what's the word? Design, traditional product design or something like that. Here's just some weird random things, more, experiments and trying to render clean design. Here we have just some random, what's the word? Perspective exercise, ellipse exercise. Everything is potentially, serving multiple masters, right? So of course here we have the infamous light diagram that one should know if one wants to be a skilled, celebrated illustrator. Okay, that is page 3. So let's close that one and see what we've got for page 4. Now there's an artist named Lee White, and I am pretty sure this is his watercolor brush pack, and I'm not very good with it, although I think I made a little bit of progress as we got to this stage here. And I've not really returned to this too much. Experiments in building forms. This is a dinosaur. Weird experiments in building forms and trying to flesh out 3D creatures. Look at this. Because the reason I want you to look at this, and I keep saying look at this, is because sometimes I say look at this because I'm impressed by myself, and sometimes I say look at this because 4 or 5, 6 pages from now you'll see dramatic improvement in this recurring exercise, this recurring attempt to draw dinosaurs. Again, another attempt. I don't know what that is, but it seems kind of, has a little bit of charm to it. Let's see, are we done with this page? Oh, this was a study. This started out as a study of something, some watercolor artist on YouTube or something. And I think I finished it at one point and then tried to start over and didn't finish it again. Didn't finish it as I tried to start over. I guess some of this came out okay. I mean, I have no idea what I'm doing. I think this might have even been a sort of a YouTube tutorial, or maybe it was just a time-lapse painting. I added this. This wasn't part of the tutorial. Anyway, that's kind of, I mean, that's not bad, right? What might have been nicer if I finished it, though I bet you it wouldn't have been. It probably would have just been. It's probably better left as is. But anyway, let's go to the next page. That's page 4. So how about page 5? What do we got on page 5? Page 5. This is a very rough study. I don't think I was terribly in the mood to commit to studying when I did this, but look at this foot, look at this foot. This is just a weird character that came out of my skull, and he'll never go away. This is a random drawing of a face in preparation for some kind of painting study I was going to do. This was the same thing, except I actually did the painting study, and the closer you get to it, it looks pretty sorry. But from a distance, it's fairly impressive. I'm not sure why this is here, but this is the infamous grayscale, right? You know, you gotta understand you gotta understand light and how it falls on forms, and it's all the secret is right in here. All right, that's page. What is that? Page 5. Let's move on to page 6. Let's see what we got here. Well, very simple. Study one of the coolest looking cars I've ever seen, the late third gen Camaro. So yeah, I studied that because, you know, it's cool. Here's a really careful study, but never bothered to finish it. Here's a random attempt at a humanoid face or head. Here is a completely from, imagination, quick rendition of a Camaro after studying Camaros for a day or two, or however long these took. So there you have it. That's what happens when you study. I can now approximate a Camaro anytime I damn well feel like it. Can I draw one really well? Not really, but can I approximate one really well? Hey, that's the first step. That's a leap. That's a long way from I can't draw cars, right? Okay, so let's go to page 7. Page 7. Where are you? Here you are. I don't know I do know exactly what this is. This is, perhaps you're familiar with Cynics. Cynics is an artist who used to be very active on YouTube, but has kind of gone into hiding or something, and he told me that I should practice just quote-unquote painting with 2 values, and that I would be on my way I would learn a lot about what it is to paint. And so that's what this all is, a bunch of experiments along those lines. This weird thing here is some kind of experiment with nested, what is commonly referred to as nested effects layers. I can't explain what this is. More attempts to study and or indicate from imagination, or build a face from imagination. This obviously study. This was probably a terribly failed study. This is almost definitely from imagination, and this is absolutely from imagination. Look at this. Let's zoom right in on this so we can see the power of experimentation with paint using only 2 colors to indicate and give an impression and blah blah blah. This is just a whack thing that you can do with the liquify tool in Clip Studio Paint. Here are little things. You can't make heads or tails out of that. Over here we have another Camaro, some abstract designs, creature designs, abstract creature designs. We'll call it that. I'll go with that. Here's just a rough painting exercise, or not exercise, but a rough attempt to paint a ball. It's fundamentals, right? And then this was a study of something. Boy, it's ugly. It's got potential, but that's not good at all. The palette is rather ugly, and whole the whole thing just doesn't look very pleasant. It looks like someone vomited all over this. Okay, that's page 7. Let's take a look at page 8. So page 8 begins with a study of a skull and then an attempt to wrap flesh around that skull. And here are some, kind of just going over the concepts of form and value and how to indicate that, and try to draw faces some more and heads some more. And the skulls are always much more impressive because we don't see skulls. We don't know what they actually look like. We don't have a lot of familiarity with them, so they tend to kind of be fine, like, no matter what they look like. But then I try to drape flesh over these skulls, and we start to see flaws in the artist's understanding of how these things are made up. More studies. These would be Loomis studies as well. Here's more Loomis studies. I would call these fairly impressive studies. Again, some of these are pseudo tracing method exercises, which are, as I said, you can find on my channel. Learn about that. So yeah, I just keep studying, and look at that. Isn't that strange? And here's another face, and here's another face. I can't wrap my head around how to build a face in any style. I just don't get it, and I keep trying and keep trying, and I'll just keep trying, and one of these days it's gonna start to click. All right, let's go on to page 9. Page 9. Let's see. Oh, this is a good one. These are just experiments, probably with watercolor. Probably with watercolor, yes. I would say with watercolor. This is a very interesting study. This is I guess I don't believe I used reference for either of these. A fairly decent sketch. Not a bad palette here, but I have no idea why I used this palette. I don't know why this Dimitrodon looks like he's hanging out in the desert. He's supposed to be in a swamp. I don't understand why I didn't use greens and stuff. I think I was trying to... I think I got started with the concept that this should be twilight or maybe early morning, either or, and then I just didn't have the heart to put any green in it. Study. This is a study of something I saw online, saw it on YouTube or whatever. This is a perfect example of how far I've come since I was a younger lad. Just doing something twice, trying it twice. Big for me. Big accomplishment for me, yeah. Form studies, paint studies. This is, I forget the guy's name. I don't know the guy's name. I'm not a big fan of this stuff these days. So this guy's name, Tartovsky or something. I think that's the Russian filmmaker. But anyway, you probably recognize this character if you know who I'm talking about. Or if you recognize this character, you know who I'm talking about. Or if you know who I'm talking about, you recognize this character. Not a one-for-one study. Put my own interpretations in here, trying to, make it mine. But this is a study. I didn't do that from imagination. Now, of course, I did this from imagination based on this study, and I abandoned it pretty early because I didn't like the way it was coming out. Even though it's okay. It's okay. The concept of three-dimensionality and what's the word? Perspective. That's what this is. These are grids that you can use in Clip Studio Paint to help you with this. They kind of get in my way. I do believe I understand perspective, and I always find these grids just kind of get in my way. This perspective exercise, classic perspective exercise. Let's go to page 10. Page 10. Where are we? Okay, probably another good one. Oh, they're all good, aren't they? More pictures of Camaros. You might even be forgiven for thinking that this was one of the pictures from the last study session, but it is not. It is another study of a Camaro. And here are more quick sketches from from my own imagination, proving that I understand what I'm trying to draw. A huge experiment, a huge demonstration about breaking up this whole concept when trying to use perspective and draw forms, and you have to be able to break it up. So what this is this is started out as one, and each of these lines that create the illusion of a bunch of little rectangles, and they're not exactly perfectly spaced. When you zoom in, you can see that, but this is all, the idea is that, see all this stuff? This is what drawing is, not magic. This doesn't happen by magic. This happens by understanding all of this and being able to get to the point where you don't need to put all this on the paper, but that you can kind of see this in your skull when you're drawing. If you don't understand what I'm trying to say, then you've got a long way to go yourself regarding highly skilled illustration. This is the infamous cone of vision and the concept of what is it? It's called. I keep forgetting. I keep talking about a perspective. Perspective. This is a perspective concept that one must understand. Literally, you must understand this. I won't go into it right now, but if you don't understand that, you can't do anything. I'm not sure what this is. It probably has something to do with the fascinating reality of what perspective is and how these are I'm not sure exactly what this is. This is Yongery. If you don't know what a Yongery is, and here's an abandoned painting of Yongery, a study that I was doing and I just abandoned it. Too bad, huh? If you don't know what is a drawing, well, this is the drawing that this painting is based on, and as you can see, the drawing is a little better than the painting, a little bit more detailed, but again, kind of an abandonment thing here going on here, commitment issues. I will just finish the sentence that if you don't know what a Yongery is, oh, that's too bad for you. Alright, what are we up to? Page 11? Wow, let's check it out. Page 11, more. Hey, that's not a bad face, is it? Now, I didn't... The problem with this face is I didn't do it on purpose. It just happened to come out good. I have no idea what I'm doing when I try to start these faces. Loomis studies, just attempts to do it on my own, and then back to Loomis, and back to my own, and back to Loomis. All this good stuff. This is a rough sketch and a fairly half-hearted attempt to flesh out a fully realized fictional rock band that I that is a long story, but I have not done too many drawings of them. So this was an attempt to just kind of try and get into the zone and depict these guys outside of my imagination. Bring them out of my imagination and onto digital. Digital. Oh, if only I could speak eloquently. Then when I say digital infamy, it would have rang so. It would have rang so true. I guess it's time to go to page 12 now. Page 12. Alright, some serious studying going on right now. Simply totally in the zone right here. Studying something out of just nowhere and just totally getting into the zone. I believe that this is marvelous and demonstrates that yes, it can be done. I can do it. Imagination, that is supposed to be a boat of some kind from imagination. There's some more Yongery again. This here might even be a tracing. Study Loomis, just random, form exercise, very random figure exercise. What is that? I have no idea what that is. I'm trying to make that out. Well, maybe. What the heck is that? I have no idea what that's supposed to be. Long stories, but I was studying submarines and trying to, take what I can see of real submarines and fictionalize them a little bit. It's a long story. Hands. How about let's first go over here to the face, see these trees. I don't know why, but that's what I did there. Let's go over here with Yongery. Look at that. Isn't that great? Look at the toes. Oh boy. There's a lot to be said for that. You see, this is the thing. This is why I like Yongery, and this is why I like goofy old movies and stuff, because I like to draw stuff like this, and I should. Well, I have been doing it more often. That's another long story that can be answered on my channel. Here is a spaceship or something based on some studying. I did not study an image, but I used some reference. And then what have we got over here? We've got hand exercises. The hand is notoriously difficult. I would like to think that I am, look at this. This is it really, hands. We all know. I am gonna get, it's my mission in life to be able to draw anything. And boy, when I figure out how to do hands, it'll probably only be because I had the patience to understand faces, because I don't understand how to do either of those right now. What's we got down here? We've got a cool spaceship with some half-hearted attempts to indicate spatial positioning and sort of a composition, but I abandoned this whole thing, unfortunately. So, let's go on to page 13. Page 13. Oh, I can't wait. Alright, look at this stuff. What is that? Who knows? Who cares? I like it. I like that thing. This is almost enough to creep me out. Do I like this guy? You better believe I do. Do I know why or how I drew him? No. Head study. I don't know what this stuff is, but it's just basically fooling around. Oh, here we come. Okay, here it is. Here's the big one. Okay, this is the idea that, fish, simple shapes, etc. Here we have, first, before we go anywhere, this is, self-explanatory, some kind of weird deep sea creature. I just doodled this because this is like my style, you might say, like just these. If I have any style, it's got something to do with this concept of these prophyliffic symbol. I don't know what the words I'm looking for, but this isn't supposed to be detailed. It's not supposed to look three-dimensional. It's supposed to be like this, although it's mostly just a half-hearted sketch. We go down here, and this was a YouTube tutorial about doing hands, and I'd like to think I got something out of it. Let's see. Okay, so that's it. The thing I was getting all hyped about was this. This page is probably around 8 months old. This particular page we're looking at, and this is the beginning of my commitment to this Strange Happenings comic book that you may or may not have heard of. Pretty damn sure you haven't heard of it. So that's another thing that you can find more info on my channel. It won't be hard to find either. Let's go to page 13. Let's see, okay, page 14. And on page 14, we have, yes, the final renderings of this logo, which I have since changed. Let's see, page 15. Page 15 should be a blast. Let's see what we've got here. We've got a weird, random shape exercise, form exercise, a completely abandoned humanoid figure exercise, a really creepy study of what is probably a pretty face, weird experiments in Godzilla-esque dinosaur design, random head attempts. I don't know what this is other than some kind of 3D, some kind of form study, some kind of quick form. Study is the wrong word. Can I render a 3D form? I don't know. I don't know why I drew that. I don't know what that's supposed to be, except three-dimensional. That's what it's supposed to be. Here's more Godzilla. Look at this. Oh boy. See, this is where I'm saying, I'm kind of surprising myself here. I mean, you can see I'm going in here with the brush and deleting a lot of stuff. This is telltale signs of digital removal. But still, the overall, the overall form and proportions are pretty sound, I would say. Not a very good study of an eye, or studies of I don't look at this. Who knows what that is? Again, just the human figure combined with the concept of I keep forgetting the word. Perspective. Oh, talk about a terrible half-assed study. I'm not sure what that is. That may be a study, maybe not. This may be a study. I think it might have been. I combined my little painting exercise with the logo and added these little ghosts and thought I was, sometimes I just try to have some fun, right? This is a little spider creature that never got finished. I don't know why. Here he is again, and here he is again. Hand studies, studies of fabric and material, right? Well, I'm sure we'll see some more of those. So we've seen it all. Time to move on to page 16. Page 16. Is everybody having a good time so far? Look at the amount of effort I am putting in, right? Am I self-congratulating myself? Yes. Um, is this a miracle that I've changed from a person who stopped drawing in my late adulthood and then got back on the horse and said, I don't care if I can't, I'm going to learn anyhow. Learn, that's what I'm going to do. Um, yep, Loomis studies and many attempts to do it on my own. Yep, that's what this is. This is probably a study right from a comic. An old comic. I wouldn't study a new comic. And how old, I mean old. Anytime I use the word old, I'm talking about the old days. I'm not talking about stuff like a few 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 13 years ago. I'm talking about old stuff. I like old stuff and only old stuff. Unless I did it. Anyway, yeah, so is this, like, look at this one. This one's pretty good, right? This one's pretty good. This one's pretty good. These are from imagination. You know, they're, it's not like I wanted to make a guy who looked like this and then made a guy who looked like this. It's I tried to draw a head and it came out looking like a head. Same thing with this, same thing with this. You know, same thing with this. This might be a study. This is probably a study. This is probably a study. So I can tell my work from a study. You know what I mean? I just know. Alright, where are we here? Look at that. That might be a study. Skull. Okay, that's page 16. What's next? I'll bet you 17's a doozy. Bridgman. Never underestimate Bridgman and my ability to study him, because I've heard great things about Bridgman and I understand what he's trying to tell us here. Horrible studies. This, I gotta hand it to myself, this almost looks like I traced a 3D mannequin, but no, you can see the proportions are pretty screwed up. I think this was done from imagination. No, this might have been a study. Yeah, I think it was. I think it was a study of something on YouTube, probably some, I'm almost 100% sure this was from some, to kind of build, how to build the mannequin tutorial from somebody, some comic artist or something. Look at this, huh? This is me doing Bridgman. That's tight. Oh, I really got into the zone in some of this stuff. Bridgman. I wouldn't say this is good in any way, shape, or form. I wouldn't call this good. Yeah, it looks like Trump. It's not Trump. I definitely captured something here. I got the gesture going. The proportions are probably off, and the rendering is horrendous. Well, maybe not horrendous, but it's not terribly confident. But I definitely feel like I got the gesture. I don't think this guy's in a good place. Do you? Bridgman, little experiments trying to get that 3D form going for these dinosaurs I want to draw. Let's see more. Bridgman, 3D tail. This is where I start to realize what I'm doing wrong with my dinosaur tails, with creating these cylinders and the form studies and on like that. More Bridgman. Weird tree experiments, because, foliage and trees is something I had to draw a lot of, or was planning to draw a lot of, and have since done much. There's quite a bit of drawings of cartoony trees and stuff. Long stories. This was for a prompt. I don't know if you're familiar with these, these art prompt challenges. What was this? can't remember what this was, but I thought, oh boy, I'll do this, I'll submit this, but I never got around to doing it. I don't know what the prompt was. I can't remember. I should have wrote it down, but I thought it was pretty clever, considering what the prompt was. I mean, I'm always out to shock when I really, go for like to do, what I'm about, what my, what I'm trying to say in my art is always meant to, like, hit people between the eyes and say, look at that, isn't that weird? So, anyway, that's whatever this is about in the big picture. I don't know, but that's what this is about in the little details, the grand scheme, or the grand scheme of my totality as an illustrator. If any of that makes any sense, and if I'm not making any sense, I apologize for wasting your time. Let's move on to page, I believe it's 18. What do we got this time? More Bridgman studies, more cloth and fabric studies, more YouTube tutorial studies. This was definitely a study, but I, went on my own little crusade with it. When it started coming together, I started, putting me in it. Here we have a study of a comic. That's from an old comic. This is an attempt to literally draw the same thing without studying it in reverse. Sometimes I get pretty ambitious. And I wouldn't say I did a good job, but you got to give me credit for trying to do this. I copied this and then said, now how about if I try to draw that back, reversed. Can you tell this is supposed to be Captain Kirk? I did quite a few things wrong with it, but, it was just a quick study. Bridgman, this is the delivery man, or at least that's his working name, as I knew. It's a long story. It's a character I come up with. I'm pretty sure his name is going to be the delivery man. It may change. Here's this is again, remember I was saying a few minutes ago about my style and me and this prolific stylized aesthetic. Yeah, it's another example of it. I don't do it often, but there it is in all its glory. Maybe not finished or whatever, but there it is. Here is something that you may find interesting. This is Lazy Man indicating wheels on this cart, and this is Determined Man saying, dag nabbit, I'm going to stick with this no matter how rushed. No matter how rushing the process or not, it can't be that hard to make a wheel. And I did this, and I said, boy, I really am making progress. I mean, this is supposed to be this. Very loose, very rough, very much not this. Right? Okay, so that's page 18. Let's move on to page 19. I hope you're not getting too bored. Oh, you're not even there. What do you know? Oh, look at these awesome studies. Horses. Horses must be studied by people who want to do illustration. More Bridgman. From imagination. All of this, I start studying and then I just go off. This is a study. I believe this is a rough, very rough study. These are rough studies of, he goes by Funky Monkey on Instagram and DeviantArt, if I'm not mistaken. And he's got this mannequin head that I love, but I'm very bad at indicating it. I haven't practiced it. Very bad at doing it, and I haven't practiced it enough. I suspect this is a study. I'm pretty sure this is a study. This is not a study. This right here is not a study. This is from imagination. And again, I want to reiterate, I did not draw this face on purpose. I simply tried to draw a face for the millionth time, and it came out looking like this, and I thought, wow, I might be getting somewhere. More sort of, I don't know why, but these don't look like very committed exercises, but these are, the classic perspective concepts and drawing concepts, according to Scott Roberts and others who know how to draw like him. I don't recall if this is a study or not. I'm going to say it's not. That's probably a study. That is definitely a study. No, this is not. I honestly believe that this is not a study. No, I'm sorry, it's a study. I went really off the rails, breaking from the model and doing it my way. But, because I think this is a study of a photograph. But I can't be sure. One will never know. Exercises in perspective and vehicle drawing, or clean design, or hard surface type artwork. Scott Robertson. You may recognize it if you've studied him at all. This is me learning that me and my digital ink pen need to be like this, pals. And this little thing here is the essence of 90% of the talented, highly skilled illustrator's workflow, hidden right here in this shape. And so I've got to get much more mileage with this kind of thing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then again, you're very early in your journey, or you're not even serious about illustration. You're just doodling away and having a good old time, which I don't fault you for in the least. Let's see, this is page 19, so now we gotta go to page 20. Don't worry, folks, only about 10 more pages left, maybe a couple more than that. What do we got here? Weird. This is when I was getting really heavy into the Scott Roberts stuff. As you can, this is all Scott Roberts, studying from Scott Roberts' book, including this. This is just going on off my own tangent. Scott Roberts. Again, this is the thing. This and this is what illustration is. It's just that once you get good at understanding this, you don't have to draw it on the paper anymore, or on the in your app. You don't have to. This is all in your skull. You can't unsee this once you've made this part of your regiment. So that then it frees you to draw things in ways that you never thought you could. What is this? This is just some story stuff. I'm just as fascinated by storytelling as I am by illustration, and so this was, somebody did a video about storytelling, and I wrote this stuff. I took notes. I didn't take notes. I reinterpreted what the person was saying and put it in my own language, and I think I'm pretty friggin' nifty, so. Okay, page 21. Let's go for it. Let's see what we got here. Oh, Scott Roberts, totally, dedicated, what's the word? Disciplined, what's the word? Committed to understanding Scott Roberts' book, which is called, I believe it's just simply called How to Draw or something like that. These are all exercises from the book. So man, all of these, as I said, I repeat myself, the problem with, really skilled illustrators is that they've gone through all this many more times than I have. But I understand the concepts, and I've used them recently. And this was done months ago. Months ago. Yeah. These are random experiments with see, there's two things going on here. There's perspective drills going on here and drawing drills going on here. Drawing drills? What's the word? Shape knowledge drills, understanding of shapes. Anyway, I got a lot out of this, and it's good deal. Let's go to page 22. Let's see. Are we sure with the page 21? Yes. Okay, so page 22 is more Scott Robertson stuff. More Scott Robertson stuff. More. Yeah, I was just basically... Okay, so now we're going to move on, and we're going to study some other things. This is some... if you don't recognize this little fellow, I feel bad for you. I don't think this is a study. Might be, though. This is very likely a study. I'm almost positive this is a rough study. This is not a study. I'm almost 100% sure that's not a study. That's from imagination. This is Toth. I forget his first name. He's a renowned character designer, comic artist. Did a lot of stuff for Hanna-Barbera in the day, or with Hanna-Barbera in the day. So I studied some of him, more Scott Robertson stuff, maybe not directly from the book, but trying to wrap my head around the concepts. Okay, that's page 22. It's time to move on to page 23 and see what that has in store for us. A study of a boy pointing. Further study of pointing. This you may recognize if you know anything about Bridgman. A weird, not so weird if you know what I've been up to for the past few months, but this is a cottage or a crappy old house, I guess you could say. Oh, well, I guess we may as well study feet. How about that? Sure, why not? Studying almost everything else I can think of, right? Okay, study some feet. I've got to wrap my head around this. These things are difficult. I like this, and if you have been peeking at my channel, you might recognize what this is. What this really was an attempt to demonstrate see about it. See if I can do it, this is 3 values. This is no value, a very light value, and a very dark value. And this is the essence of composition. If you can't nail that kind of simplicity, then you're going to have a lot of trouble handling details and such. Okay, so let's go to page 24. Here comes A. Now see, this is what I was talking about. You may remember the many sketches of dinosaurs I had done previously, and this is the result. Now able to indicate this fictional animal in a rather convincing 3D presentation. Material, fabric. Did this nifty cape. Somehow, I'm pretty sure this cape is a rough study of somebody else's work. Alex Toth, more Alex Toth studies. As you can see, I traced most of this, but if you'll notice, I went a little off on my own thing when it got to the hands. Studying this racked my brain. I did this more than one time. A lot of times these studies are simply cut right out of the study session until I do something worth saving. And so here is an absolute rendition of after I traced it. I said, now I must draw it myself, and there it is. The sketch is under there. This sketch is the Alex Toth drawing. The sketch that you this is not my sketch underneath there. That's the Alex Toth drawing. Anyway, these are Alex Toth drawings. I'm not sure what exactly this is. Probably some kind of study of a mannequin, maquette, or whatever. More Alex Toth. I think these are just straight up tracings, just for the sake of learning to ink digitally, because it's very important that I get pretty good at that, because, well, visit my channel and find out. Yeah, random studies. This is Micronauts. You ever heard of Micronauts? This is a weird thing. This rough study came out really good, but when I went and tried to go over it and flesh it out, failure. I'll just give up. This is a Micronaut study, a study of a toy from the 70s called Micronauts, or Microman if you're from Japan. But I didn't finish it. So what else we got here? Study of some random image I saw, some comic image. Study of a horse. Not quite sure what this is. Probably just a quick desire to plot out some what are these called? The relative, what do you call that? Proportions, yeah. Okay, that's page 24. Only 5 or 6 more pages to go. Okay, page 25. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, folks. I like my own work. I apologize for that. I don't like so much. I like this. Weird experiment colors. This is craft tone, True Grit Texture Supply craft tone. Here I am using craft tone in my unique way that I've come up with my own way of using the brush pack, and I just wanted to make sure that I could get brown out of it, and there it is, brown. A study. I don't believe this is a study, folks. This is pretty powerful. It could click any day. It could all just fall into place any day. Form studies by organic form studies. I intend on doing stories that involve freaky looking dinosaurs, and so this is my just constantly trying to do these things. This is really weird. Not sure what this is, except for probably I do know what this is. It's just very hard to explain. Sometimes I just get into a zone and I just scribble absolutely nothing and just try to experiment with handling the brush, handling this, trying to get at this this visceral hand inked, old school hand inked look with the digital tools. I don't plan on investing in quills and brush pens anytime soon, and it's just so much easier to just do everything in the virtual world. So, but I can't help but be drawn to vintage aesthetics, so I'm just practicing with that. That's what that is. Look at this interesting way of trying to like indicate forms. Wrap your head around the idea that the forms exist at all. Kind of nice gesture here with this creature. Study. I would, gasp at this and say how great I am, but it's clearly not. Clearly, it's abandoned, and I also am unlikely to forget this drawing exists anytime soon. Look what happens when I try to go from nifty sketch to finished drawing. I lose all the life. Here, I've managed to hang on to a lot more of it. And that's where I abandoned this page, this here, more, just like handling the pen, how to work it, how to work it, how to control the ink, digital ink, but anyway. So now that's page 25. Okay, let's go page 26. I'm sure we're in for a jolly good time with page 26. Let's see what we've got first. This is a half-baked attempt to study just some random, these people do things on YouTube and suggest that you buy their practice tools to practice things and stuff, and I just followed along with the tutorial and didn't really commit to it. Experimenting with drawing trees, experimenting with handling the pen, experimenting with lettering. This is a really, really loose. Let's get away from that dinosaur. We don't want to look too much. What this is Mark Brunette. Certainly, this is not his work. This is using something that he did as reference and completely going off script and doing my own thing with it. I think this is basically part of a painting tutorial that he did. This is what I came up with. I wouldn't call this very good, but look at the exquisite potential that I have. I'm blown away by my own work. There was a time when I couldn't do things like this. It's not all coming together the way I want it to, but boy, I'm getting there. Look at that. Oh my. Wow. I just might make it. Look at, completely captured the exact same essence. I wonder if this is a tracing of this. These might be virtually identical for a reason. Yeah, they are. This is probably a tracing of this, whereas this would have been a copy of this, and then I would have traced it and said, I'll try harder this time. All right, what else have we got here? So here, this is discipline taken over. This is what this was supposed to be, and I abandoned it. And I said, damn it, don't abandon it this time. And I went through and finished it. This here is character designs for a project that you can find out quite a bit more about if you visit the channel. Or at least a little bit. You can find out all about it, actually. Yeah. You visit my channel and you want to know more about this. No. Actually, I'm sorry. This has not shown up yet. This character, whether she looks like this or not, whether these characters look like this or not, they have not shown up on my channel yet. They are part of a project that is in progress on my channel, but no, you will not recognize, you may not recognize unless you're really keen and really rabid about what I'm up to. That's unlikely. That hasn't happened, and we shall see if it ever does. It's time for page 27. Painting experiment. Is this a study or is this freehand from imagination? I am not sure, but I put money on it that it's freehand. It's from imagination. Cloth and fabric, strange, random, abstract ideas. I believe this was a Proco video. He said that you could practice your ellipses. Ellipse is a round thing. A circular ellipse is it's the concept of an ellipse can be perfectly round and it can be totally squished. And you can practice your ellipses by drawing whatever these mushroom characters are from Mario Brothers. This is not me doing that. This is me using the Clip Studio ellipse tool to just quickly do it so that I remember to try and do it, and I haven't done it since. Ellipses are so difficult. Study, random form, attempt to understand the form of the head. I believe this is from imagination, sort of a hand. This is probably a poor study. That's definitely a study, very poor. An arm thing. My anatomy knowledge is very weak, so that doesn't help. A very careful study of a Camaro diagram that really, believe it or not, if you look really close, you can see that this, I studied this rather meticulously to try and get, I used the grid, watch. If I toggle the grid on, everything, I used the grid to study this, what's that called, when you have the four views, what's that called, I forget what it's called. Four views, you have four views of a card. This is a study of some ancient, some candy product or something from the 60s. This is from imagination. This is a really half-baked study, and that about does it for page 27. It's time to move on to page 28. I saved it, it doesn't matter. Page 28, here we go. I'm back to, let's look at this one first. Okay, we got some serious action going on right here. This is a study. It was a study until oh man, look at this. Look at that. This thing is awesome. I love this thing. I like this thing. I don't think that's a study. I think that's from imagination. This is absolutely, again, this is kind of like, this prolific, stylized thing that I do. A study of a rocket from a comic book. Let's go back up here because this was where it all started. This is actually a study, but the model doesn't look anything like this. As a matter of fact, this is a study of an actual plastic model that was about 2.5 feet tall that I had when I was a kid. Now, the model doesn't actually look anything like this. I took a lot of liberties in giving it more, I don't know what the word is, but the the model that this is based on does not look like this. So I would say it's a loose study, but not an undetermined study or a abandoned study. Pretty hardcore here. And now my attempt to ink it. Many tries to try and give it this look that the actual model has, and I'm just not very good at it. So I got mad and I said I want to draw stuff like this, and I sketched this out and was like, wow, did I do that? That's quite the dynamic pose. Now let's see if I can ink it. Well, I kind of ruined it a little bit, and then I said, okay, maybe I better get back into, doing it more my way, or like what I was just like, I don't know, and I got back to this, and I did this, and then I did this, and then I did this, and then I did this, and let's see, where else are we going here? I don't know what that is, but there it is. See, this is like studying Calvin and Hobbes. Here's a big story. You ready for this one? Pardon me. Calvin and Hobbes. Oh, I forget the illustrator, the author of Calvin and Hobbes. I forget his name. Sorry, folks, if you're a big fan. I'm a passive fan of Calvin and Hobbes. I did enjoy the comic, but whatever. I can't remember the guy's name. I always loved his depictions of dinosaurs in the Calvin and Hobbes, and when I go to study it, I realize, boy, I think half of what I like about it is how sloppy it is. I mean, it's really sloppy. Like, I don't know what all this indication is. What is this indicating? You know what I mean? He's very good at drawing, but I'm not sure what he's doing here. I'm not sure if he's sure what he's doing, but he's able to fake it pretty good. Here's my attempt to copy it, and I got the proportions all wrong. Maybe I went off the rails on purpose. I don't know, just to give it my own look. But I wouldn't even say it's a very good study, because I have such a hard time really trying to decipher what he's indicating with all these lines that I'm not doing a very good job emulating them. Okay, so that's enough of that. This is a picnic table with stuff on it. Ooh, isn't he marvelous? Look at him dance. What's this? Oh, this is, you can easily do something like this with the Clip Studio, what's it called? Symmetry ruler. Look at this. This is a half-baked. I think what happened was, this is a perfect example of what I was saying a minute ago. This was coming out like kind of interesting to me, and then when I drew the rest of it, it was so bad that I just got rid of it, but kept this in case I wanted to return and try to fix it. There's a lot of sketching that goes on in these sessions that just gets cut and deleted, and then I'll anyway, look at this horse. My goodness. Oh, I'm not even sure where if this has got to be a study. I mean, it just simply has to be, but I don't think it's a detailed study. I think it's a very loosely referenced study of several pictures. I learned a lot. I taught myself a lot about what a horse looks like this day. And I had quite a few study sessions under my belt anyway. That does it for page 28. Now, trust me, folks, just 4 more pages to go. So, what is this? Okay, check it out. If you're a budding illustrator, let me explain something to you. Here's a picture from a comic book, right? An image from a comic book, okay? So here I want you to see something over here. This before time. That means this is me saying, I want to study this picture and attempting to study it. Look at that crap. Look, then you might be able to find some redeeming qualities in this, but that is not this. Okay? So, what did I do? I traced it. I traced it once. I traced it twice. I traced it a third time. I drew it on my own. This is what happens when you trace. You learn things you never thought you'd learn. You get familiar with the subject, and you go from this to this in one evening, over the course of an hour or two. Maybe 2 hours, I don't know. Whatever. Then for some weird reason I drew this strange stylized elephant. Pterosaur. Would love to be able to draw pterosaurs really well, right? Weird, just weird stuff, just getting weird right here, right? Pterosaur. Oh, look at him. I love my loose style. I gotta embrace that more. I think I'm trying to. I'm working on a big project that's gonna last me the rest of my life, and definitely includes trying to get better at doing this all the time. Okay. What do we got here? Form studies, light and shadow studies, hatching experiments. Maybe study would be too strong a word. Miserable study here, and God, don't even tell me. I don't think that's a study. I'm pretty sure that's from my imagination. Study of a toy from the 60s, another study of a toy from the 60s, then my reinterpretation based on the study of this thing that I did, based on this study. This is based on this. I would not call this an accurate study, but I would definitely say that I learned something, because I don't think I would have done this had I not done this. An attempt to do it again, a little bit different, not very good, abandoned. Oh, gee willikers, let me go over here first. Wicked fast, rough study of some plants I saw online. Weird stuff and experiments in controlling the digital ink and how to handle the pen. A nose. Surely a study. I don't know what that is. Let's get over here to this guy. Look at that. This is going from studying horses and form, all the good stuff, which led directly to this sketch, which led to this reinterpretation of the sketch. And I must say, I would surely make changes if I were to have at this again. But if I could just draw like this out of the gate all the time, I'd be so happy. But it takes effort for me to get to this point. It takes sessions. It takes, not understanding how to indicate these arms to saying, by golly, I can indicate weird dinosaur arms if I want to. Anyway, that's page 29. So, we are now at page 30. Let's see what we got here. Weird stylized dinosaur head. Just random, exercises and pen handling and stuff. This is probably a study, believe it or not, quite abandoned. You can't tell me these aren't studies. These have to be studies. I mean, they just have to be. I really am not sure, though, to be honest with you. I don't think this is a study right here. I'm almost positive it's not. You look at the pen, the ink, the old school traditional ink. Look, is this a study? I'm not sure. Is this a study? I'm pretty sure this is. This has got to be a study. Yes, this is a study, and this might be a freehand, a drawing based on this study. It's the only explanation. This probably is not a study. Let's see what else we got here. I'm gonna say that's a study, but as you can see, I'm kind of experimenting with this. This is not a study. It can't be. This is not a study. This is not a study. One of these is a study. One of them, probably this one. I think it's this one. And then these are just like, oh, I'm gonna go off on my own and do it myself. Yeah. That's page 30. There's the infamous page 31. Is it infamous? Let's find out. Holy baloney. Can't take too much credit for this. It is a study. As usual, I interjected me into it and took away what I wanted to take away and never even finished it. Here's the concept of, this is me attempting to capture the essence of what wings do, how they look, what is that shape language, Study, half-baked study. I'm assuming that's got nothing to do with a study. Here's a study of a sorrow head, probably a tracing. I would not be surprised if this is a tracing. This is almost definitely a tracing. Look at that. I really don't have any idea what this is. These are all tracings of a sorrow head. The sorrow head is a staple of artists since I don't know when, probably since the 60s or 70s. You learn to indicate the shape language of this weird head, and you give yourself an understanding of how to draw the human skull. So I'm tracing it because of what I showed you in, I can find it right here. Which one was it? This one. Where to go? Where to go? Oh, yeah, this. You can't see it, but this, I was telling you. Draw, trace, trace, trace. Draw. Okay, so that's more of this. I have tried to study this thing a few times, and I said, what my problem is? I don't know what I'm trying to study. I'll trace the damn thing and get familiar with it. So that's what this is about. One of these is not a tracing. One of these, but we can't tell which one, can we? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I got rid of that non-traced version. But almost positive I did one that, without tracing. Did one freehand, as I so often do. I don't think it's here. I don't think it's here. I think I got rid of it. All right, that's 31, and I believe there's only one more page to go. Yeah, last, final page. Okay, which do we look at first? Let's look at these legs. These are sort of dinosaur-y legs. This is huge. These drawings. This is not me. This is the new, guy who's learning to indicate forms, values, and all that stuff. Here's me trying to learn to paint. This is a study of a photo. It speaks for itself. I've got to learn to draw dinosaurs and pterosaurs. Oh man, these are studies of more beasts from 1 million years BC, and boy am I happy with the way they come out, even though at the time I was like, oh, I just can't draw very good. Boy, did I capture the likeness of these things. And trust me, it was not easy. I worked for a couple of hours. There are sketches that have been removed from this canvas that preceded these accurate renditions, these accurate interpretations of this theoretic living, this model, this dinosaur, this. Um, it needs a lot of work, but I'm just, am I getting closer? Yes. That's it. That's it. You've made it through. Oh, I forgot to tell you about this. This is a very loose study of an image. This was a poster. This is a movie poster, a fake movie poster for a real movie. These kinds of things. Artists say, "Oh, what if I did the poster for that movie?" And what if we did it in this way? And so this is an image of a guy in a costume, but it's a nice piece of artwork, in homage to an old movie that I don't think is that good, but this costume is awesome, and I took a lot of liberties with it, and colored it in old school comic style with the Craftone color kit, and it's a very loose interpretation, purposely, half out of laziness and half out of wanting to do my own thing and experiment with my own ideas, and yeah, that's it. I would say you've made it through the entire sketchbook, but I'm all alone here. If you tune in later, hope you hope you found it worth sticking around for, because I surely impressed myself, didn't I? I surely did. I'm not embarrassed. Alright, take it easy, folks.